There's a lot of teeth gnashing relating to which programming language is used for various projects. Oh my gosh, this is written in C, but it better be written in Rust. Or, oh, there's so many things being written in Rust, it's winning. Or, oh, JavaScript is everywhere. There's a lot of yelling and gnashing. But sometimes it helps to just dig in and get some real numbers. Well, one of the team members over at the Gnome project put up on let's see, blogs.gnome.org, published an analysis of how often programming languages were used in various parts of the GNOME ecosystem. Now we're talking for just in general, for general components of GNOME, for applications that were kind of blessed and supported by GNOME, and for core parts of GNOME itself. And I thought this was really fascinating. So I wanted to walk through some of the results of that with you. Within the components of the GNOME ecosystem, which kind of we're talking broader GNOME world, right? So significant components like GTK and all the other stuff, all the stuff that kind of feeds into the GNOME ecosystem of software on Linux, C was king, undeniably king. I mean, not just C++. C++ was at 2.5% usage, but C, pure C, 76.6% of the lines of code were just pure C. Of all the code that was analyzed, close to 4 million lines just written in C. Second was Rust. And I thought this was actually pretty interesting because Rust hasn't been around that long. The Rust compiler is not finalized yet. The Rust language hasn't even been finalized as like this is the final 1.0 spec of the language yet. And yet still we see Rust usage at over 10% of the general GNOME ecosystem. That's a pretty impressive number. Python comes in third at 4.7%, still quite a lot of Python. That's a lot of Python. Vala, which you hardly ever hear about Vala, but Vala came in at 3.7%. And then just like a little bit of JavaScript, like 2% of JavaScript. But if you look at the Gnome Circle applications, things are wildly different. I mean, just wildly different. Now, what is Gnome Circle? Gnome Circle is essentially a marketing campaign, right? Gnome Circle is the Gnome Foundation's attempt to highlight applications developed not by the GNOME project, not by the GNOME Foundation, but just separate individual developers creating GNOME related things. And Circle was a way of highlighting key selected ones. So they use it as like a these are an editor's choice applications, basically, right? So GNOME Circle apps are predominantly written in Rust and Python. This blew me away. 41.7% of GNOME Circle apps were written in Rust. 41%, almost half. Wild. I mean, huge numbers there. Python, though, and this almost even blew me away more. Python came in at 29.2%. I mean, which means if you add Rust and Python together, that's over 70% of the applications written that were GNOME Circle apps, meaning like editor's choice, essentially GNOME apps. Almost 9%, almost 10%, 9.7% were written in JavaScript. 5.5% were written in C, 12% written in Vala. Again, who hears about Vala? And something called Crystal for 1.39%. But that Rust numbers, again, considering Rust is not a stable language at this point, not meaning it's crash a lot, though the Cloudflare folks might might have something to say about that. But in that it changes, right? The Rust programming spec and the Rust compiler and whatnot, that's all in kind of in a state of flux. Considering that over 40% in Rust is pretty wild. Now, again, when you look back at the GNOME core applications, so that's applications that ship with the GNOME desktop environment standard set, the text editors and calculators and all that, as well as a wide variety of other applications that are considered part of GNOME's core. 44.8% of them are written in C. That's still the predominant language there. Vala comes in second at 20.7%. Amazing. You really don't hear about Vala as a programming language much outside of the GNOME world, but it does have a pretty significant foothold. Arguably, in a lot of ways, similar to that of Rust. I mean, Rust has a lot more for the Gnome Circle apps, but I mean, Vala is holding the core components of the Gnome ecosystem, almost 4% of it, and then 20.7% of the GNOME core applications, all written in this one Vala programming language. Amazing, amazing. I've never really coded anything in Vala, so I can't speak to its relative technical merits or whatnot, but it's amazing that does have that sort of an impact within the GNOME world. GNOME core applications, again, things shipping with GNOME or blessed by GNOME, 10% were written in Rust. Again, amazing considering unstable language. 13% written in JavaScript, almost 14%, 13.8%, which means more applications are written for the GNOME core in JavaScript than Rust. In fact, a Rust and C++, which is at 3.4% combined, have almost identical market share to JavaScript. JavaScript is Rust and C++ combined for the GNOME core applications. But again, C and Vala were king, with JavaScript coming in third there, and then followed by Rust and Python at 7% for the GNOME core applications. I found this fascinating. It's interesting to look at and see where the numbers really are. I would love to see a similar analysis for last year and to see how the numbers change. And I'm going to be curious a year from now, flashing ahead to, say, next December, where these numbers are going to be. I mean, we're seeing so many projects that are forcing a transition from C to Rust or C++ to Rust that it would not surprise me to see those Rust numbers go up across the board, really. It really wouldn't surprise me. I think it would be probably a mistake considering the unstable nature of Rust at this given point. But considering how many projects are choosing to rapidly adopt Rust, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, we're seeing the rapid adoption in Linux, in Debian, in Ubuntu, like with sudo and the core utilities. I mean, we're seeing a lot of projects who are abandoning previously written code for unfinished Rust code written in an unfinished language using an unfinished compiler. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of that continue, because I think there's a definite overlap. The Venn diagram is it's not a perfect circle, but there's the definite overlap of those circles between the people who within GNOME and many other projects who are very political activisty, and the people within those projects who believe in their soul, like deep down in their heart, that Rust is a holy language, is a pure language, that it is the infallible, divine language, right? And you must move to Rust. There's a very significant overlap there. And since we see within GNOME a huge collection of both of those things, of the extreme political activists and the kind of a Rust evangelists, and a lot of them seem to be the same people, I would not be surprised if we see a significant uptick over the next 12 months in the Rust adoption within GNOME, for better or worse. It just seems like it's something they're going to do. Currently 10% in the general GNOME ecosystem for components in the ecosystem. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that closer to 14 or so percent. And GNOME Circle applications, I would be I wouldn't be surprised if that moves from 40% to 50% over the course of the next 12 months. Just a rapid changing. Because already what we're seeing is very rapid adoption, possibly arguably too rapid of adoption, but I don't see any sign of that slowing down. I think if anything, the people who are pushing Rust are going to ramp that up in 2026 as a response to people looking at the rapid adoption of Rust and saying, whoa, maybe we should pump the brakes, right? And because it's a religious belief, because it's a kind of a cultish belief, they have to prove it. They have to get out there and prove that it is going to be great, and you have to do it. It's the thing you've got to do. So we're going to do it even faster now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that going forward into 2026. The numbers are going to crank up. I think that's just what's going to happen. I would like to see similar analysis of this across a wide variety of ecosystems. But GNOME is an interesting one to look at, since GNOME is the dominant desktop environment across Linux. I mean, I don't use it, but and I know a lot of you don't necessarily use it, but it's the default that ships with Red Hat, SUSE, and all the enterprise desktops. It's the default for Ubuntu. It's the most commonly used in a wide variety of the major Linux distributions. And so while there's a lot of other great desktop environments and window managers out there, and KDE has a certain amount of foothold, GNOME is undeniably the king. I mean, you don't see, Red Hat Enterprise and SUSE Enterprise and Ubuntu and everything else shipping out of the box by default with all their documentation focused on KDE or Hyperland or XFCE or any of these other desktop environments, which I would love, but it's very much focused on GNOME. And so, yeah, it's an interesting cross section. So seeing where GNOME is at really tells you a lot of where Linux is at in general. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it as it goes forward. Thank you to the Lunduke Journal subscribers for making it possible to do this sort of coverage. Go to lunduke.com, click on some links, and subscribe for free wherever you want. Rumble, great. X, fantastic. Locals or Substack, yeah. YouTube, the podcast feed, whatever you want, man. It's all right there. If you want to grab a paid subscription, again, go to lunduke.com and scroll down. It's great. There's monthly, yearly, and lifetime subscription options available with some pretty cool perks. MP4 downloads, PDF ebooks, exclusive forum access, warm, fuzzy feelings. Very, very good. You'll like warm, fuzzy feelings very, very much. And if you get a lifetime subscription, you go up on the wall of shame, the wall of please someone pester me because I'm a Lunduke Journal supporter. In fact, the wall has grown to part 1, part 2, and now part 3 of the wall. And we'll fill those walls up pretty gosh darn quick. Thank you to all the lifetime subscribers for making it possible. I truly couldn't do this without you. You make the Lunduke Journal possible, and you make it possible to be ad-free, big tech-free, non-woke, and truly audience-supported independent tech journalism. Fantastic. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare end broadcast.